we stopped reinventing ourselves. We stopped innovating and doing the entrepreneurial things that we needed to do. So we've been in a period of decline, roughly from the time I was born, about the last 50 years. We've had some nice upticks. We've made it look good at different points in time, but we've had a steady period of decline. And over the last 7 or 8 years, it's been going off the cliff. So my view is, instead of continuing to put Band-Aids on an era that has run its course, let's start a new era. Let's recognize it's time for us to reinvent ourselves, to do something bold, to step out, to get out of feeling like we've been beaten up for so many years, and to be fresh and go on the positive mode. And what does the year of innovation look like? There are 3 key pillars. The first pillar is economic. It's about having a globally diverse, competitive economy offering increasing prosperity to our families. We've been suffering through a period of decreasing prosperity, folks. We're becoming a smaller, poorer state. Let's turn that around. The second pillar is about quality of life. There are 2 parts to that. One is, you could guess, you would expect. That's about our natural resources. We are truly blessed with natural resources in this state. The Great Lakes, all the wonderful things there. But we're going to have to work harder to protect and enhance and market things. I like to joke to groups occasionally. Think about Minnesota. They get away with 10,000 lakes. We've got 11,000 in this state, folks. Come on, let's work on our marketing. Let alone the Great Lakes. What else, though, of quality of life do we need to do? Something we have failed at for a long time. And that's restoring our central cities. It is time to draw the line in the sand and restore our central cities, regardless of where we live in this state. I call it the 10-year cycle of failure. I've seen it multiple times, as have many of you. And what I would describe as what we did is about every 5 years, a group of well-intentioned people would get together and go work on central cities issues and hit barriers. They'd have the right ideas, but they'd get frustrated and they wouldn't fully get implemented. And then people would get apathetic for the next 5 years, and we'd go through this cycle over and over again. Multiple times. We have to resolve these issues. And we have had some good successes. You should be very proud. Kalamazoo is one of the better illustrations of some things that have really worked well. Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor. But there are many other places that have a lot of work to do. And we can still do better in these communities. Now, the third pillar is about our young people. I mentioned that already once. But the third pillar is fundamental. We have to have an environment where our young people not only want to stay, but can stay and have a career and a family. That is our future. So that's the year of innovation. I believe it's something we can all embrace and get excited about. So how do we get there? That's point B. I gave you point A. Well, it's time for the 10-point plan, the famous plan from the commercial. I'm not going to go through all 10 points, but I am going to hit on several that I think are critical. First one of the points are more and better jobs. Now, the role of government is not to create jobs. The role of government is to create an environment where jobs can flourish. And that ties into points 2, 3, and 4. First, tax reform. We need to do something about the Michigan business tax. It's the worst tax in the United States. Many of you may not know my background. I started as an accountant doing tax work in my career. I became a tax partner at Coopers & Lybrand. So I've had more tax experience than all the other candidates combined. And it's been from the real world side. I used to work on something called the single business tax. It was the worst tax in the United States when it existed. So, as I like to describe it, it's like the people in Lansing went out to the video store and rented Dumb and Dumber. We went from the SBT to the MBT. It's unfair. Gross receipts is absolutely unfair way to tax people. The second piece is their solution to having a bad tax is to keep on coming up with more credits and to give away more special deals to specific companies at the cost of small business people and having too high a tax rate. The right answer, eliminate the Michigan business tax. It goes away. Thank you. The solution, you replace it with a flat corporate income tax of 6%, applying to corporations. And you know why I like that? Because one, it's fair, efficient, and simple. If you're a Michigan company selling to Michigan customers, your tax return you could do on the back of a business card. You take federal taxable income times 6%, get a number, write a check, go run your business. That's how you should operate. Another item is regulatory reform. First, we have too much regulation, but worse than the amount of regulation is how Lansing applies it. I've heard this all across the state, from people in the UP talking about being a sports person to company people. And it's basically the assumption from people in Lansing that we're bad and we should be controlled. That's backwards, folks. The citizens, you're the customer. Shouldn't the operating assumption be that the average person is a good, honest person, and we need to deal with the exceptions? And to the extent you need any regulations, we should be working on helping people comply, not penalizing them. The way permitting should work, for example, is if you apply for a permit, there should be a reasonable waiting period for comments back. But if we don't get back with you, your permit should issue, and you should be able to go do your activity. We shouldn't be your problem. That's the way government should work. Now, on government itself, this may surprise you, we just simply need to blow up bureaucracy. It's wrong. How many people know where bureaucracy came from? Anybody? Well, I'm an old student of history. Bureaucracy goes about 120 years back. Bureaucracy was a concept put in place to replace the patronage system, the spoils system. It was a big government reform back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Now think about your life today. How many things do you still do the same way that people did in the late 1800s? How many telegrams have you sent recently? So why are we keeping the same government model? What it should be replaced with hasn't been written about in the nice textbooks yet, but I have a vision for what it should be, and I believe I have the right answer. You know what it is? It's called customer service government. There's a thought. Gee, our citizens are the customer. And what should we be doing? How should we look at life? The role of government should be able to look at life through your eyes, saying, how do we help you be successful, and how do we get out of your way? And if we ask you for a tax dollar, we need to show you value for money. That's one of the fundamental failures, in my view, of what's gone on with government. I'll ask you, when you write that tax check, do you feel you're getting value for money? Or some days do you feel, I might as well just have thrown that in the fireplace? That's one of the reasons people have gotten apathetic about government. And now they're getting angry. Well, let's do something about it. Because the role of government is to show you value for money, and one of the first things I want to do is throw out the current budget system and replace it with value for money budgeting. And what does that mean? The way we currently budget at our state level, which has worked so well and shut down our government twice in the last 3 years, is essentially they take last year's pot of money, they go behind closed doors, they let special interest argue about who wins and loses that marginal dollar, and they come and say, take it or leave it. Absolutely wrong. We don't need to put up with this.